Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. I wanted to, in this kind of podcast style video, really make a note and touch on the subject of raising biracial children or mixed race children and all the lovely opportunities that brings, any challenges you may face or come across, and just to create a sense of community. Because I know when I first realised how much I have to learn about it, you're faced with your own kind of biases and things thoughts or lack of knowledge, to be honest. So I wanted to make this video because actually when I found out I was pregnant, I had to look up some of these topics myself, and I was searching on the internet, and I would have really appreciated a video like this. I saw a lot of videos from the children themselves speaking about their experience, or interviews they had with different races and people's experiences growing up. But I would have loved the perspective of a mother, so from one mother talking to another. So let's get on into it. So I think one of the big learning curves was more embracing cultural identity, instead of just making it about race and making it about the visual appearance. That it's about cultural traditions and social aspects, and making an effort just to embrace a little bit the history. I think history is a great way to go about embracing a culture, a new culture that you mightn't be familiar with. It really tells you a lot about the people. I think you can really understand people if you know the country's history, and then even learning about your own culture even more. So I am personally bilingual, so I kind of had an idea about two different cultures in terms of language, but I never had a direct experience about a visual appearance, and that I had to be educated on that the cultures might be different, languages might be different, but that there's also, when it comes to mixed race, that there's the visual element that you just can't avoid. That some people will make a remark about the visual, unfortunately, and that it's to educate yourself of you might be open-minded, but it's the other people, to educate yourself what other people might, not that you care what they think, but just to be prepared for that, and to understand why. And food is a big one as well. Are there any recipes you could try, your local dishes? I remember researching on YouTube lots about how to cook and trying out different recipes. That's a quick way to connect. Or if there's any restaurants close by of that cuisine, just to embrace that, or to get some cookbooks. And then with kids, another big one is language. I think language really connects them to their heritage as well. So I know in our city there's an international bookshop where they have dual language books, and then they have some for kids as well. So I think it's really important to try even get a language tutor, or try some of these books as well to keep up. Language is a direct connection, I always think, to heritage and culture. See if there's any special community groups in your area. Maybe they meet in the library, or if there's any national traditions that you could try some of them at home as well. I have a whole nother video about it was around Halloween time, and I did a whole video about traditions and how you decide what to introduce to your family and what you want to include and why that's important, and what you're teaching, what kind of values are you teaching your child with those traditions. So yeah, I think a little bit of just exposure, or the best is to try find people in your local community from the culture you're trying to embrace. And then the best is obviously to try go visit. If you can, visit the country, spend time in the country that they're from. But I think to not focus on one side, focus on both sides of both countries. They're from two countries, not just one. So, and this was one bias because there's the visual aspect of race sometimes in kids, depending on whatever biracial mix you have, that this is a big bias I had to get over. That just because I'm not biased doesn't mean other people won't notice the visual aspect first and the skin tone first. So that's something I had to wrap my head around. So you have to be prepared for that, and how you would handle that in the future, or people commenting on hair, or that kind of thing. Because my child is West African and Irish, so seeking out other role models as well, people in the community. And then a big thing was hair care and skincare. This was the biggest eye-opener ever. I didn't know all of this. Even as a beautician, I'd come across it a little bit, but I never noticed the actual cultural significance of it, as in like wearing your hair loud and proud if it's afro hair, to like embrace the care of that it's nice, to the natural care. Natural hairstyle is like knowing how to care for it, maintain it, that it doesn't snap and break off, that it needs a lot more moisture, the humidity levels, how they affect it, and the skin, the type of oils or moisture that it needs, and that it needs extra attention. And I'd learned a little bit about it, but I never learned the pride they have in wanting to like wear this their hair natural, like that it's a real statement, that it's a real like it's I thought it was beautiful anyway, but you have to recognize that not everybody is as open-minded, and people they're so unaware that they actually, this has even happened to my daughter, they come over and they touch and rub their hand in her hair and they go, oh cute, how cute, and you're just like, you wouldn't do that to other people, would you do that to every other baby out there? It's just like realizing those subtle little things and how to handle it. And what I noticed as well was the cost of the products compared to like standard normal products, hair care and body care. So that was really surprising. Like if you're not buying them or looking at them, you'd never realize that there is a massive price difference, as it's really expensive compared to mainstream hair care, conditioner, spray. So that was a big why does it have to be more expensive? Like, are they just stronger products or oil? Like, it's a little bit frustrating. There's no need for them because you use a lot more product, so that's frustrating, all those little things. Then I had to really educate myself about terminology as well, and I noticed how I had to speak with confidence, using certain terms. Like I even found a lot of people wouldn't even have the vocab, or they wouldn't know what to say. They get really awkward and you can sense they're trying to look for a word. I think a big thing was a lot of people don't realise that they would say African American and you're like, they're not American. This is they're European and African, or Irish, West African. It's not that is a whole other concept, that black versus African American, all these that they would just describe that term. So I just found people wouldn't have much exposure, and then I realized how little exposure I had as well, that they would actually try to use these terms that they hear on TV, and you're like, they don't apply. They don't apply. So just educating yourself and asking, like, what is the right term? What are the right words? And to be able to use that with ease, like that it's okay to say black and then white, or to say Ghanaian, Irish, or to say, like, Africa's a big place, so you could say the country. It's like a huge continent. You don't always go around saying European. Like, you do specify. You tend to specify, like, Irish or whichever country. Things like that as well. Yeah, it's a minefield. I think it's just lack of, people are afraid to say, and afraid to make a mistake. The mistake is direct offence, and they just don't know how to act, so they're walking on eggshells. So that's where the, like, awkwardness and the confusion is. So I just feel like you kind of have to lead by example, and just show with confidence, this is how you speak, and then they follow suit. So yeah. The other thing is, like, also just realising it's not a big issue. It's just normal nowadays. Like, not to play it down, I think do notice the relative cultural differences, do value their heritage on both sides, and then to blend that cultural identity. I think it was easier for me, as in, because I was bilingual and grew up in a different country myself, my childhood, so I actually had that experience of two different cultures. Now, I didn't have the visual aspect, not directly, very subtle probably, like, you know how somebody, you can always tell, oh, they look a little bit Irish, they look, even within one race, you can tell what country they're from if you have a good eye for that. So maybe I experienced it a little bit, because but to the scale that when it's more visual. Yes, so I think it's just about taking an interest for both sides, and displaying that interest to your child, actively seeking out community, and I think, like I said, the language is the quickest, food is a quick, and history, or to have some kind of maps, or to speak of both sides of your culture proudly, and to keep continuing that conversation, and yeah, just being aware of how other people might perceive it, but not letting that negativity seep in, and yeah, humbling yourself and getting over your own little, like, ignorance as well. I've seen a lot of, like, accounts online of like other Irish that experience a lot of, like, they've lived in Ireland their whole life, they're Black Irish, and then they still to this day they're more Irish than most Irish people. They're so integrated in the, like, they've just lived here their whole life, and people can't wrap their head around, because they just don't look like your average Irish person, that it's all about that visual aspect, and they're, like, writing on their Instagram page and stuff to, like, horrible things like leave or go back home, things like this, and you're just like, you have to be aware that this is what you come across, that it's all just closed-mindedness and insecurity and, like, poverty mindset, because if you had an abundant mindset, you would be like, there's room for everybody. Let's prosper. Like, it's jealousy and envy, I think. It's like, if they are succeeding, why it brings up other people's insecurity, so it's always a reflection of them. What about somebody being slightly different is making you so uncomfortable? So I think I think just being aware. I think being able to have that conversation when my daughter's a bit older, so she can conceptualize it, or yeah, and then that the responsibility isn't all on me, that her community or her paternal side of the family is there to show her that side, and I'm responsible for the Irish side. Yeah, I think it's a real blessing in opening up your mind and noticing that people are, at heart, we're all the same, and we're all people, and we're all here to have the human experience. And I think there just needs to be more conversation among friends, among women, among each other. Like, nobody can be mad if you come over and ask, what do you say, or can I do this, or what's appropriate. Even I had to like get up the courage to just ask, what is it about the like hair that I need to pay attention to? And you have it explained to you, and you're like, oh, okay, oh well, now I see the significance. Yes. Their hair can dry and snap off, like that's really like not good. And to have it explained to you. But yeah, to open up conversation and do, like, if I think you're open and chatty, that other people will follow suit. Because I had some really good friends who were like, start pulling out a map of Africa to have a good look, because some people just don't know. They don't look at maps every day. They haven't come across this. To not assume that everybody should know, that maybe and that not everybody would be conscious enough to ask. But why should they? They're not involved in that world. It's like not having a chip on your shoulder, just being open-minded and opening a conversation. Open a channel of conversation, I think, is the best way forward. And hopefully this was relatable and you found some comfort from it, and you can take some of my tips on board about trying the food, the history, the language, the practical terms, and just starting conversations with people, I think, is the best way forward. So please write in the comments below. I'd love to hear from other mothers in this situation and other kind of biracial mixes as well. If you maybe have we know what challenges you guys have faced, even challenges in different parts of the world. Is it a similar experience for the parents everywhere? Please let me know down below. And obviously we're all still learning. There's never any offense meant, even with this video. I'm just trying to spread my little a bit of awareness that I've learned along the way. I've still a long way to go, and no offense meant by this video. It's just to touch on the topic, and do you know what, I might open, like I said, the conversation for somebody else as well, and let's have that conversation in the comments down below.